and it just helped me reset. I really valued yours and Natalie's presentation. I
Oh, thanks.
loved how it was laid out and just the content and everything. Um, I think the restructuring will be really good for doTERRA with
Hmm.
Emily switching and Kirk stepping in. And I loved I loved that the presentations were actionable and it
Yeah.
wasn't just like, you know,
Mhm.
although great content, a lot of fluff, like people don't always
Yeah,
know what to do with it, but there was a lot
totally.
of actionable things.
Yeah, super concrete and practical stuff, right? Yeah, so often we just hear a bunch of stories that are kind of a mishmash of, well, I don't really know how I got here, but I'm going to waste a half an hour of your time telling you my story. So it's nice when it's super practical, huh? Awesome. Other top nuggets. Who wants to share?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Um, did love the talk you and Natalie gave, and when you asked us to visualize. I actually sat there and did it, and the things that I saw in my mind of my builders that were there with me and two that were not there with me, what I saw God doing in their lives for the future. Because I have two ladies that are widows,
Mhm.
and they just started sharing doTERRA with me. One of them is 76, and the other
Wow.
one is she's in her 60s, but I could see both of them walking as silver together at convention.
Wow.
And so, yeah, just the visual, doing the act that you asked us to do really opened my eyes.
Mhm.
And also I loved the house um, talk about the morning thing and the
Oh, miracle
30-day
morning.
challenge or the 30-day thing. It is I started it today, the little kit booklet. It's been eye-opening for me to actually write down what I'm afraid of and why I'm holding myself back. So those are just two of my takeaways.
And that booklet you're talking about was from Hal Elrod?
It's the Miracle Morning, the 30-day life challenge. I can put it in
Okay,
the
that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, wasn't Hal so good?
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was not prepared for how moving his presentation was. Like I came home and we told our kids about it, and we've all been doing the Miracle Morning every day this week, and we're all in. It's funny because we used to talk about the Power Hour. Remember that, Katie? Back in the day, and I don't know how we fell off that bandwagon, but it's good to be back. So simple. Beautiful. Thank you for that share, Chastity.
Right.
All right, other nuggets, other takeaways.
Well, I'll go. I think for me, when we have these corporate gatherings, such as leadership and convention, for me, it's more of a networking with my team and being able to, sit down and just reconnect. For me, connection is one of the key importance for me, which is why whenever we do anything live, pretty much come hell or high water, I'm going. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to play full out. And I missed a couple hours Saturday morning because I came down with a cold and I was really struggling Saturday morning. And my leaders that were with me thought for sure I'm not going to make it the whole day because I was pretty miserable. And I just was like, nope, I'm not going to let this get me down. I have to show up. And so I walked in at 10 o'clock and, stayed the rest of the day and just enjoyed as much as I could of it, just knowing that I'm with people and surrounded by like-mindedness. For me, that's my takeaways all the time. And I really enjoy that.
So good. Way to make the most of it. Sounds like you accepted what you couldn't change and moved forward like Hal taught us. I love that. So good. Any other top takeaways anybody wants to share? Fantastic. Well, it was definitely a landmark leadership. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure most of you can sense it, but this is a big turning point for doTERRA, because this is the first time that we don't have one of the 7 owners as the CEO, president, anything. Like it's a big shift, and so it's really significant. So we all got to be there for a big piece of history. So I'd like to take just a little bit of time and share our experience with Kirk, with Murray, just to give some, I don't know, some background. I feel like a little bit of that was done, but I feel like we deserve more. Like each of you deserves to know more of their background story and why they're so qualified to lead us right now. So many of you know that in 2015, doTERRA got a letter from the FDA, had to pull everything offline. And that's about when we reached out to Kirk Jowers and realized that we really need a partner to help us with our government relations, with FDA relations. And so he's been playing a part with us ever since. So he gets us, he knows us, he is one of us. After a couple of years, moving into full-time, we actually put him over Europe. And so he was, I believe he was the general manager of Europe.
Jeez, I can hear it with my earphones in.
And Murray Smith, I believe, was acting as the president of Europe. And that was a turning point in Europe. I don't know how many of you have teams over there, but if you do, you know what happened to Europe under their leadership. So basically, Europe was just kind of doing okay, but under their direction and partnering with Jared Auger, Europe just exploded. And it's been doTERRA's fastest growing market ever since. So Natalie and I have huge teams in Germany, in Romania, in Hungary, in Italy, the biggest teams in each of those markets. Well, not Romania, but all the other 3. And so we've been to Europe several times. We've worked closely with Kirk on Europe and Murray. And I can tell you that Kirk, Murray, and Jared are the dream team that were the linchpins for the success in Europe. And so the fact that those 3 are back together and heading up the whole company is, to me, just like a huge sigh of relief. So that's like, we worked closely with Jared Auger when he was the GM of Australia. We also worked with Murray. Like Murray was one of doTERRA's very first employees. So he's been with us for 15 years. Like he knows the culture. He's helped set the culture.
We saw him launch Russia and handle all kinds of things there. And Murray can handle anything. Like when he talks about balance, that is him.
He's got broad shoulders. So, and then after Europe, Murray was put in charge of all international markets. And so I was in Australia with Murray for the week before leadership. And to watch his leadership there, as he set up a new GM, which is exactly what that market needs, a really great leadership team in Australia. I can just see like this is the right team at the right time. And so I've never been more optimistic. Natalie and I have just been so grateful to watch this evolve. Now, it has been a bumpy journey. There was a period of time where Natalie and I were like, oh my gosh, Emily has to be the next CEO. Like this is Like, this is the only way for the field to keep believing.
Mhm.
And we held that space for a while, but then as Emily had her whole journey, I think we all came to realize that if she were to be the CEO of the company, she would be chained to that office,
Mhm.
managing 4,000, all 4,000 employees of doTERRA, and it would be the worst thing for everyone. Like, that is not where her passion is, to sit in meeting after meeting after meeting.
And
to,
we would lose her sooner, right?
Yeah.
Like at this point, we just have to be wise with our energy,
Mhm.
right? And the Kirk option came in and it was the right option and started lining up for everyone. So all we can say is it's a mighty miracle
total miracle.
to be right here.
Yep.
And how amazing. And we also, in just talking to Kirk, we talked to him about a few things really quickly that day. And he already was citing, I mean, Andy, weren't you blown away when he was like, well, Tupperware did that, and that was the beginning of their downfall. And Avon did that, and that was the beginning of their downfall. Like, this man, he has such a mind, and he gets, after 7 years of in those executive meetings, like, putting any other CEO but Emily or someone that had been in executive meetings for 7 years, like, they're just out of touch.
Yep.
And so it's just such a miracle that God prepared him in that way so that he could be serving now. And he had the time away to gain like a deeper appreciation for doTERRA and get all the other stuff out of his system. So he could just like come in full bore. But I really trust like his thinking, and he really has a wide spectrum and lots of experience, and he gets how important it is to have the right people in the right seats.
Mhm.
So super, super grateful. Are you
Yes.
guys all, is everybody breathing a sigh of relief? Suzanne, go ahead. Anyway, share.
I have to be muted because I have a cough and I don't want to sit here and cough. But one of the things that was kind of cool, I think doTERRA filled an entire plane back to Utah. Everybody was on that plane, you guys were on it, right? Andy and Natalie, weren't you on that flight? So when we got to the luggage, I was just standing there, and I'd never met Kirk Jowers personally before. And Greg was there talking to him, and he said, "Hey, Suzanne, have you ever met Kirk Jowers?" And so he said, "Come over here. I want to chat." And so he brought me over and he introduced me to him, and he started telling him a little bit about my journey in doTERRA, because I worked with Greg in Brazil and in the Philippines and in India, and Kirk, right off the bat, he said, "Hey, what's working for Herbalife in India is those little hot shops that they have, because everybody goes in the morning, like it's like to get their coffee, only they get these smoothies of Herbalife, and it's really popular in India, and it really, really works." And I said, and they're the biggest MLM that's really working in India. And I said, "You know what? So many people have brought that up." And no, all of the other corporate people had always just said, "No, it's not the doTERRA way." But he was like, "You know what? I really think we should look at that. If that's working in India, we need to see what would work and what would really inspire these people to start to use these products." And it was just like the first time I went, because I didn't even know him, but I was like, "Yes, he's going to help us. He's going to help us to progress and to maybe open our eyes to opportunities that we have closed doors to before. Maybe we weren't willing to go there because of the extra effort or work, or, try something new that maybe might work in one culture that doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily needed here."
Yeah.
But anyway, I just really loved his openness, and that was the first thing he said to me when he found out that I build in India, so I just wanted to share that I think he seems totally in with the doTERRA culture, but also that he'll be progressive.
Yeah. And, Dave Sterling was like as conservative as it comes, right? And then we have Corey Lindley that's less conservative, but still wanting to like, okay, I'm not doing anything crazy that Nu Skin hadn't done or whatever, And so Kirk is like a whole new level for that, so we can triple the impact. And it's going to take some creativity and thinking about things differently. We can't just do what, that's the definition of insanity, right? Keep doing what we're doing and expect different results. Like we've got to shift to get different results. I love that, Suzanne. I mean, and who knows those things about all the markets around the world? The man, like,
Yeah, I was surprised he even knew about that because
Yep.
we know about that, but
because you've been to India how many times
yeah,
and you're in those
a
conversations.
lot. But it's the first time a corporate person has said, hey, maybe we need to take a look at that, because if that's working for them, I just was like, wow, that was
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miraculous. So true. So true. I love it. Any other thoughts any thoughts, questions? I know my week has been like processing everything. So I just get to acceptance and peace and ready to go, right? Ready to create a strategy.
Do you think that he is going to be in this for a while? Do you think Kirk Jowers is going to stay for a while? It felt really kind of unstable feeling when it felt like Corey Lindley came in and then he only stayed for 2 years as CEO. And I just thought, I don't know, for those of us, for me, who hasn't been around for 15 years, it's like, it's just like too much change quick. And so I'm hoping, I love Kirk Jowers. I was so excited when they announced him. I just thought, oh, that is perfect.
Aren't you excited to have him back at Experienced doTERRA?
Yes, he was
the best.
He's the best closer ever.
It is. I mean, if you're newer, it can seem, the cool thing about the Goddards, and some of us have been around a long time, is our perspective may be a little bit different. I think it's always kind of like, what's going on? Change. I love change. I deal really well with change. My wife, on the other hand, hates change, and that always brings stuff up, right? And challenges. And for me, I've lived a life of change for so long. When I look at that, I go, oh, okay, what does this mean? Like, in my mind, change has almost always been positive for me. And so I look at it like, oh, how is this gonna, like, this is gonna be exciting. Like, we're gonna go forward with it. And so, what I know about Kirk, because I worked with him a ton for Russia and the Russian team there, and then Europe and stuff, and teams that I've had in different markets. And what I will tell you is, I think he took a little hiatus just because of some different things that maybe weren't, it was all orchestrated, right? He probably, encountered some challenges and different things that weren't, in sync yet with what he wanted to accomplish. Thought he might go off and, experience some like amazingness, always still tuned into doTERRA, always still connected to doTERRA, consulting for doTERRA, a big player in the realm of doTERRA, keeping tapped into it. Went off, and I love what was said at leadership. He went off and became an entrepreneur. Like, I mean, in the true sense of an entrepreneur, right? He had done other things on his own, but not really entrepreneur, the ups and downs, the things that we deal with, right? So I think that actually was a really good moment for him to step away, try to jump into that, because now he can relate to us, which is always a challenge for anyone on the corporate side, right? To really understand and know what we've done. I mean, Emily knows because she slept in people's living rooms and traveled around the country and whatever, but for the most part, you don't really get that. So now he has that. So I love that. And he was always tied in. And when I saw what he did whenever he was in a market, he loves to partner, he loves to listen, and he loves to make things happen. And he doesn't have much patience with like the passive aggressive, like kind of like, let's toy around. He's like, give me the goods, yell at me, whatever it is. And now let's find a solution. Let's go forward. Let's ask the right questions. He will also call you on the carpet, which I love, because he'll keep people in check, right? He's going to call BS and give you the chance to communicate. He's just a down-to-earth, really like say it like it is and allow you to say it like it is. And he wants success. And so I've always loved that about him. I think this is a perfect place for him. And I don't think he's going to go anywhere because he was never not committed to doTERRA. I just think his time wasn't right. And when the opportunity came along, I mean, Corey was already retired. He kind of stepped in for Dave as a favor, really. But he loves doTERRA. So when Corey makes a commitment, he's like, I'm going to be all in. And he was all in. But his wife was like, hey, we were already going down this road. I think doTERRA is in a good place. Can we go back to that now? And what it did was open up an amazing opportunity for someone who is like ready for like the next decade. And I think that's Kirk.
Totally agree.
And I think he'll be here. He was joking with us right away. He's like, hey, let's get to 10 billion and then we'll go to a beach for a minute,
Yeah.
And he was like not joking.
Yeah.
And when we sent him, okay, we have to read you. Like, this is what he said to a personal text that we sent him, just like of, we're so happy it's you, but it literally was, it was something like this. We are a $10 billion company trapped in a $2 billion company.
Body to $2 billion.
And we're gonna release it. It's time to release it. And that kind of vision, I was like, I just was so happy. I told Emily and Greg just like, wow, this is a visionary leader. P.S. We are a $10 billion company trapped in a $2 billion company, massive growth ahead that you all will help lead, right? So that's the visionary we have leading us. Like, I'm like, watch out, world, because it's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And we know there were imperfections from leadership, and we're meeting and talking about how some of those things can get better, right?
Thank you, James, for helping spearhead that.
Yeah.
It's it was a crazy couple weeks. Like Natalie and I are privy to a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that happened. And it's just a miracle that Kirk was in line by leadership so they could put him forward, because yeah, just a lot had to happen. And it did happen, and we're just so grateful.
Now we're ready to go. So we want to, there were a couple of things from leadership that we want to highlight. So yeah, we can. How many of you like the Drew Wolfert stats and everything that he came into there was amazing? So him talking about pressure is a privilege was like so eye-opening for us. And that we get to continue to engage people. Like this engaged customers, engaged leaders, and momentum work together to make the magic that we all love, we all want, right? And
he explained kind of the behind the scenes stuff that happened in the last few years that's created a lot of the effects that we're seeing in volume and rank. So there was this turning point, a tipping point that was crossed where we had just enough disengaged leaders. Here's the color key down here. So we had more disengaged leaders than engaged leaders. And so we couldn't take care of our customer base the way we could in the past. And so that's where the slippage started and has continued. And so it's, there's only so much capacity that each person has, each leader has to care for their teams. And so if less people are trying to take care of more customers, then there's a breakdown.
Mhm.
And so that engagement gap is the main culprit.
And I love looking at that engagement gap because I think that's where we can make the biggest difference, right? When we say what part is ours, what can we do? Like we can engage. And I've been hearing from so many people, like, James, you were saying like, oh, hey, these leaders are re-engaged and those leaders and I had people coming up at our event just talking about the re-engagement, and it's real and it's happening, and it starts with us showing up. And to me, it's those conversations of, hey, I know I haven't done this, and this, the realities, right? And here I am. Where are you at? How can I best support you right now? Can we start again? When we hear these stories of leaders being checked out for 6 years or 10 years and coming back, like that is the reality of what we'll see in this period. And there will be people that continue to fall off, continue to go for shiny pennies, other places. But as we are engaged and come back to engage our leaders, I think that's where it all starts. Then we get engaged customers and momentum, and all of that follows, right? So, without pressure, there's no expectation, no try, no failure, no learning, no growth, no opportunity. I don't want to live in that world, right? I want to become. So I think it's healthy for us to feel that pressure on the regular. That's why I love the monthly thing, right? Because it gives that pressure that it helps us continue to progress. Yeah, we got, I can ask on this prezo, I just got it. I just got parts and highlights of it. So let me ask on that. I thought this part that Jared highlighted was really important too. And we want to hear feel free to pipe in on any of this or throw it in the chat, because we want this to inform our strategy. But I think the way that engagement happens is we start acting as if, right? We start moving into this zone of like, oh, I'm choosing to show up as a leader in this way. And we start acting as if we're back at Diamond, or we're at Presidential, or whatever your vision is. And that new way of thinking comes as we move into action, and that natural growth happens. And I think they're trying to support us with programs, but I think it's our job to weigh in if there are things that, hey, I feel like this would really bless our teams, or da-da-da. So any input that you have on these things, we would love to deliver. And keep informing them, because they want to bless us. They want to create this collaboration more than we ever have before. We feel like that is a real intent right now.
Nat, can I make a quick comment on, or sorry,
Yes.
Natalie? So as people apply for these things, I just like where it says build a retreat, and I just want everyone to remember that if you've been around a long time, we never needed corporate to make a program for us to do this stuff. Okay. And so if you do not get approved to do a build a retreat, or you don't get into one of the ones that corporate is doing or whatever, like, please, 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 please don't think that means you can't do it. Right. I know most of you are probably like, yeah, we already knew that. But in case there's one person here who didn't think that, who thought that the program that corporate designed means you can't do it if you don't get in or you don't get approved, you know, like the Reclaim Your Health, the date has passed technically. We were already supposed to have submitted. I didn't even get mine in, you know, I'm like, great, you know, but the reality is like, we all know that we could even do our own. Karina Barris gave me a great idea that she thought of. And all she's going to do, that's her type of retreat. She's like, I'm just going to have like an open house at my house and do the station thing where people get to go from room to room. And then we're going to have lunch together and we're going to do fun things. And then at the end, we're going to say, hey, we're going to have a business portion if anyone wants to stay, you know, and do that and just have it one day. No one needs hotel. They just drive in, drive out, you know. So once again, just don't overcomplicate it and be the pioneer that is the person that's independent, that's not waiting for corporate to give you the go ahead.
Yep.
That is really what we need in the field is that attitude, instead of waiting for the, you know, government to come up with a plan for us.
Program that takes care of us and answers all of our needs. Roxanne, that's so well said. And we really need to keep that mindset, right? Because it was like we were talking about at our event, like we're the CEOs of our own business. So Kirk Jowers just got placed as CEO of doTERRA, but you have never been replaced. You have always been the CEO of your business. And what will you do now, right? And that's our only question is like, okay, what am I inspired to do? And I heard from so many that were really empowered by Emily. Right? How many of you felt that, like her being wise enough to know where to put her strengths and put her gifts so that she could show up strong, you know, so that she could bring her very best for the next 15 years, you know, then that's what we want, you know, that's what will make the biggest difference. And so I think it's so critical that if you didn't get to that self-reflection during leadership, because sometimes we're just taking care of our people so much, that in coming back to your business here, that you're putting on that CEO hat, right? And I was talking to Sharon's our assistant. She's been with us so long, and she was just saying, like, how can we get, you know, we need to get like a visionary meeting every once in a while or an offsite meeting, right? How often are we getting out of our normal zone and thinking like a CEO and treating our business like $1 million business? If you want to have $1 million business, we get to treat it like a multi-million-dollar business and take that time and energy to choose those critical things. And it is that pressure, right? Pressure will be created in that process. We get to be disciplined about what we do. I know that like sometimes I'm like, oh, you know, I can talk longer and do this or that. But like, if we really are to be the CEOs that we need to be, we have got to show up where we need to show up and let go of everything else. And, you know, talk about releasing and receiving, right? We really felt like that was a critical thing to think about in this season, is like, how can we release bigger and better so we can be ready to receive? Because if we are still just like, if we don't let go of the baggage that comes along the way, we just will not be ready to receive all of the goodness, all of the leaders, all of the builders that are there for us, that we're meant to lead, right? So
That's what.
I release receive, if you want that.
Oh, that's not what
I have a question on the builder
Yeah.
retreats. Like, are you guys gonna be doing one or anything? Like, I am bringing in new leaders
Mhm.
that are matching where I'm at now, right?
Awesome.
So, and the other ones that I have that are engaged, they're far away. So I'm like, I'm totally willing to participate in a builder retreat, but I don't know that I have enough people currently to register for one, so I'm curious if you guys are doing one in the area and if I can participate in that, or are you just sticking to what you're doing currently?
So we don't feel like we should change the drumbeat of Experienced doTERRA and having that offering for new prospects, new builders, leaders that you want to re-engage, builders that you want to re-engage. But we did apply for, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 right before Experienced doTERRA. So like that Friday, using that Friday day, maybe even Thursday night. So we're still getting the dialing in on what that would be like, but I love it. If you're here local, either drop in the chat that you want to combine that way, or text me.
And that was for a builder retreat, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is a hot topic and a good topic. And
Yep.
I know some of you like Katie and others have been around a while, right? So you're long timers. And you know that there was this heyday of doTERRA, right? And honestly, if you look at when we were heavy into doing retreats all over the place, it pretty much lines up. I'm not saying for sure that's the thing, but all I know is we had massive growth, massive energy, massive community, which I think community is the piece right now that we really need to resurrect and reconstruct and bring back. And so these retreats are that. So if any of you, so I mean, I've been talking with Natalie and Andy, and what I would love to create collaboration. And of course, Katie, you're on our team, but we can do cross team, whatever, right? Where we come up with a format for these that really is awesome, which is what we used to do. We had a template and we had just a whole modus of operandi that everybody knew, and they could just basically do that anywhere that they want. We had a location we used to bring people to, but that's not necessary. I think we can dial this in so that it can be taken on the road. And it would be cool if we could collaborate, because you need leaders to come and show up and teach. And we want to pull in teams in the areas and also utilize leaders in areas where there's, the most bang for your buck, and they can help us find locations and deal with some of those logistics. But if you're into it, maybe, ping Natalie and Andy in whatever way you have to connect with them, and let them know, like, hey, I'm willing to do some of these, and we could look at where in the, across the North America are some of the best locations for this, and maybe come up with some times and collaborate on 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of these in this coming year if we get moving quick. And I want to start, Roxanne and I have been talking about very soon in the next couple weeks, trying to figure out when we can kind of have a call and begin to organize that. And we may start that out with Natalie and Andy and kind of have an outline, and then bring you guys in and have some feedback on that and some collaboration. So I don't know, maybe in the chat you can say I'm in, or maybe you can just say, I don't know if I want to.
Well, one thought I had is if we had a Google Doc for the Goddard team that actually just had locations where people are hoping to get one, then it could be sorted later and we could figure out, because if we cross team collaborate in areas where there's not enough, then that's, that could work.
Rox,
Yeah.
could you create just like
Absolutely.
a sample, and then we could throw
Sure.
that in the WhatsApp chat?
Yeah.
And then we could go from there, because we definitely need to collaborate more, and we don't need to be the cog in the wheel. We just need to find ways to collaborate, right?
Well, and if anyone on here, because there's, power in just asking the masses, but if anyone on here knows about any sort of tools that, like, I know my children use Discord as a way to find people in their local area. Honestly, we need something like a geographical app that is like, so if maybe you guys already know there's something out there. I've heard Facebook Business works for people who are like realtors. They can go on and like look, and they find other people in their area, but I don't know how to do this with us, because Facebook.
One thing that, I think if we get real serious about this, we can pull in our account manager and begin to, and also Natalie and Andy's account manager, and just kind of get some reports on where is there some high concentrations active, engaged leaders, or maybe leaders that need to be active and engaged or something like that. And we can, you know, utilize some of that information to pick some of these geographic areas. But I do want it to be I want it to be in places where we can, you know, maximize really engagement. So we may pick places where there's already engagement, but we could also pick places where there maybe used to be heavy engagement and now there's not, and we can re-engage.
I love that. Drop in the chat, like if you could wave your magic wand and have an event somewhere that you're collaborating on. Tony just said East Coast, you know, where else do you want to see it? Drop that in the chat. Yep.
Yeah, and think about your area and how many other leaders you know of or may know of in the area, and just make sure that your area is something that you know could be a good point for creating one of these in collaboration. And if you're a loner in an area, but you know where there's areas of your team and pockets of your team that you're willing to go to, then or that need this kind of support, that's really good as well.
Awesome. Love all the chatter.
Yeah, keep that going. That's how we collaborate. Collaboration is is like brings on the synergy, brings on the momentum. That's how we turn on the momentum.
So I just want to share one kind of builder retreat that Melody Watts is running. So she had lost belief in doTERRA, had stepped away. She didn't leave, but she just stopped building for a while. And then she heard about our Experience doTERRA events and she started attending them. And then she was like, you know what? I'd love to have these, but in my area, because it's a 5-hour drive to come down from Idaho. And so she's been holding Experience doTERRA retreats at her house. And they look totally different from what we do, but they work so well. Like she primarily reaches out to practitioners because that's her target audience. Lots of chiropractors, lots of nutritionists. And they always teach Symphony of Cells. Like she is such a believer in that gift and what it can give. But they just hold these regular events and they fly people in. And they even have this little incentive program where once you've been, if you get someone to the next one, then they do some kind of sponsorship. I need to get the details on that. But like making it really accessible. So the reason I share this is because Experience doTERRA is actually very, very duplicatable. It doesn't need to have a tour of campus. It doesn't have to have an executive. Like they'll just show the Genesis video at her retreats, and that ticks both boxes.
And they watch the tour. There's the video tour, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes they watch that.
Yeah. So anyways, there are lots of ways to duplicate all the goodness that's happening without getting people to come to Utah.
You can create that right in your backyard.
Although I would say that it is worth coming to Experience doTERRA, and that if you can make that happen, it's very powerful. Obviously, recreating elsewhere is awesome, and I love people taking that on. But I would say that there's definitely more room available in Experience doTERRA.
Oh yeah.
And what's cool is, you know, I mean, and I know in our team, we're super willing to help with, you know, combining with other leaders and creating incentives or resources for people to get there as well. So that's, I would say if you're not ready to do your own, then let's take advantage. And it doesn't really, we've had people come from other countries to it, right? So that's not very often, but North America, easy peasy, and we can make a way if you plan. They're all scheduled. They're at sharesuccess.com under events. They're all there, and you can see the dates for the year. So I mean, it's just a planning thing, right?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, anybody you bring to that, if they have even an inkling of hope around this as a possibility, they go to that. Everyone we brought, done deal. And we've had several leaders who kind of, you know, just took a hiatus for whatever reason, come back to that and go, oh yeah, okay, I remember what I'm doing here.
Yep.
And we've made the whole agenda for Experience doTERRA, as well as the whole PowerPoint, available at sharesuccess.com/leadership. So you just come down here to Experience doTERRA schedule and Experience doTERRA PowerPoint. It's a big file, so don't expect it to show up on your phone in 2 seconds. It's 2.5 gigs. But both those resources there, just make copies of them and have at it. Like, do whatever serves you and your team.
So these are all, Andy brought together all the resources that were shared on our pre-leadership retreat day, and the retreat recording will get dropped right here. But that's even the whole PowerPoint from that day, So this launch overview, I think this is going to be something that will be super useful. This is getting added to the BBG, to the back, that helps you meet with people so that they just have their, 10 steps to launch their business, and they're prepping by bringing those things together, and then you can meet and help them launch. It's really a business blueprint or a business strategy to really treat our businesses like businesses. So yeah, Experience doTERRA is a keeper. And it's working, right? But you can recreate it wherever you are. That being said, you should know, like I had some people ask me, oh my gosh, like, is it really as expensive as it's showing? No, like that's part of the strategy, is that we put a huge ticket price on it so people understand and value the weekend, because it's worth all of that, even if they were paying all of that. But our team code, go to the page so we can just show them really quick. The team code for that is right there on the page, and you can just plug in. This is where we have like an overview and the dates for the whole year. And you saw right back there, it says for Goddard team members, use code. You were going so fast.
Okay.
It might be here too. Whoops.
Oh,
Right here. I think there's one down in the, okay. For Goddard team members, use code GROW for 60% off, right? And if you want to get text reminders, we'll throw that in the chat too. But use that code GROW so your people are getting in at a lot better value. And that's our way of like sponsoring stuff for you guys and still making things available for other teams, right? And so you'll get 60% off these prices, right? And we have Spanish translation that we've been able to add on. That's where you're adding the promo code.
People ask us all day, every day. I didn't see a place to put the promo code, so now you know. There's a place.
When you get to the next field. Okay. So, and it has been worthy, right? Those that have invested in it are back in momentum. So,
even bringing builders on your team that are losing their momentum, it is such a great re-engaging tool for leaders. I think it's really valuable for that even.
And that was useful in your founders run, right?
Absolutely. It really was.
And still getting people to re-engage. Like, you've been a master of re-engaging people.
Well, it just reminds people why they're in doTERRA. Like, it's great for new people, but I've almost seen a bigger impact of getting people back into why they're doing this job, like why they're even here, and kind of reconnecting with their why by coming to it. It's just been really fabulous. We're so thankful you guys do it.
Well, we're glad it serves. And if you'll register, then we look at like who's registered. And we try and involve the leaders that are registered in it, right? So that's how we're creating the schedule every time. Yay, Kat, that's right. You received the benefits of that. So that's one way to increase the leader engagement and bring things back into balance, right? Maybe we're developing leaders, and that's fun and new. But if we can bring that back into balance, like I think it was Jared or Mike was challenging us to bring the leader engagement and the leader development up, that's where we're going to find our sweet spot. And we've got the momentum from leadership retreats. Now the builder retreats will come in, keep getting that class energy and enrollments, and then let those leader programs work wherever they're going to serve. That new Silver Club, I think, will be Silver Club can be a game changer, right? So, let's see. We wanted to hit on that and give some context of this new season. And then we wanted to just go to strategy, right? So I hope right now that you've got a big fat paper or something where you're taking March, April, and May and saying what's happening, what are the focuses, what's the priorities, right? So as the CEO, you decide where you put your energy and where it's going to go, right? And we want to hear from some of you what your downloads are, where you're feeling to focus March, April, and May. So awesome. Thanks, Rox, for dropping that Google Doc in.
Well, and I'm sure I
Property.
missed some important pieces on it, but all I did, you guys, is I made a tab for US locations. There's a tab for Canada, and then there's a tab for all other international, just because obviously doing one internationally is a whole different ballgame, but we still want to see, what the desire is. And then it does ask if you guys can put highest rank on there so that like, if everyone's looking back at it, we're seeing, okay, we know we have, this diamond level people that are wanting this event in this area. And then we know how many people we could have teach. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
I love it. So hop in whenever you want to hop in. I'll tell you a little bit of what's on mine. So right now, coming off of leadership, we're thinking about our rank strategy for convention. What do we want to be at right now? What do we want to walk as at convention? What do we want to create? What are we moving into? And like getting clear on that. And then we're helping launch new builders we're launching our brand new builder from Thailand that we found that's so amazing. I just took 3 hours yesterday doing all of placements, right? So it takes a little bit more time in the beginning, but those launches are going to pay off, right? And some of our other leaders, like we were like thinking, okay, I need to bring more to the table on some of these second level leaders or third level leaders where we need to be more involved in their launch and in their strategy, or bringing whatever gifts you have to the table. And then that keep rolling forward and adding builder retreat to April and May. And of course, we're having experienced doTERRA for those months too. And we're super excited to do, we're getting clear on, okay, we're going to be at European convention in May, and how can we support our leaders there and make the most of that time and energy there. And we're going to do a pre-convention event at pre-convention in September. And we're talking to doTERRA about that and what we can do to make it the best, right? To go back to the amazing days where we were in the
where we were
South Town.
filling Southtown Center with like, I mean, it was full. It was a big, some of you who have been around that long to see that. We really should be. People come to these and those that we've been doing lately and going, oh my gosh, like, whoa, and for some people, it's even better than the rest of what doTERRA puts on, because it fills a need that maybe doTERRA doesn't or isn't isn't really capable of filling in within their parameters, right? So it's fantastic. And so I would say to everyone, which is why I jumped in here, is like, it's really crucial that right now you're telling your people coming to, because the people will start in the next little bit to make their plans around housing. And then in May, what is it, first part of May, those tickets go on sale, right? And some of us already have them. So watching for that. And when we're doing hotels, we need to start talking about that now, because it'll be here before you know it. And it's just always a bummer. Oh, I wish I had known sooner. So we need to really make sure in all of our communications, all of our chatting repeatedly, that we're reminding people, you need to get in. I know it's a pain in the butt. You're the CEO of your business. You want to be successful with this, invest. And yes, it's a sacrifice, because that's what happens whenever you're in startup mode. And some of us might be in startup mode again. As daunting as that may be, it'll still be totally worth it. But you need to get back into that mindset, right? Of, I'm in startup mode. This is my business. What would I do in any other venture? How would I invest in it with my time and my resources to make sure I don't miss the kind of training that's going to make a huge difference? And the whole, you guys all know the leveraging that happens when you bring a whole bunch of people to this thing that you don't have to do yourself. And then it just leads into convention, which is like this big, thick layer of frosting on the top of an amazing business training day.
Amen. And we get to plan ahead, right? Remember how, I remember realizing, oh my gosh, okay, I think we're moving into a different income. And I heard on a personal development book I'm listening to, that the poor plan for the day, right? They're just like, how can I have food for the day? And the rich plan year or even multiple years, right? And I was like, oh, I gotta think differently, because that's where I'm at, So as the CEO of our business, we get to plan for and see this need way ahead of time and already plan for it. And I want to challenge each of you, like the recording of the pre-leadership day, like it's all good, right? But listen to that and capture some of those gems, because I don't know what you guys heard, but we just kept hearing, oh, I could go home right now. That was the best part of leadership. And when you make sure and you get that, and or your teams get that, like that's powerful. So Sue, it'll be on that same page, sharesuccess.com/leadership. We just got the files. Thank you, James and Roxanne, for recording it, and we'll be posting that up so we can give access.
It's may not be an amazing recording, because we didn't totally plan on recording it, but it worked out that we were able to get most of it. But going forward, I think we'll, at least we will plan on a way to make that happen. And it's really more, I think, for your review. I don't want people to like get too totally locked into, oh, I can just watch the recording, because 99% of people don't do that, and or thinking that there's a virtual option. I don't know if that will ever.
The live option is the power piece, and we're just we know we're just starting on these live events again, pre-leadership and pre-convention. That's our commitment. We'll let you know if that changes, but we would love to collaborate with you on that. And we would love to make it worth it and leverage it for your teams so that it can be what it needs to be, right? So any other thoughts on strategy for the next 3 months and what things you're thinking about and what you're bringing to the table? Or any other questions as we wrap?
Okay, this is not short, but I don't know about anyone else, but I've been thinking, if I was going to try to contact people who have been consistent orders, and if there's people that need to hop off, you just hop off, right? But anyone wants to brainstorm on this little thing. I know there are people on this call who've done mailers, who've gotten some activity that way, maybe from people that are consistently ordering and they're good customers, but maybe they've never thought about doTERRA as a business. One little brainstorm here is like, I think personally that there can be a lot of mailers that go out that no one looks at. So I have an idea. Has anyone ever tried handwritten, not pretend handwritten, actual handwritten, postcards to their team members who are purchasing? Now, this doesn't have to be you doing it. It could be an assistant, but I'm just curious, and if anyone has a stat on how many people read it or responded or anything like that. If anyone has a stat, I would love to hear it. Mandy came on, so I'm like, Mandy, tell me, did you do it?
Wait, I missed the first part. What are we talking about?
Well, I'm just wanting to brainstorm quick on if it's got to be the most bang for your buck. I know we can all go out and get mailbox power and do these things, and send out a zillion mailers to people that are currently ordering and actually get 2 that respond, right? And I'm just oh, that's a lot of time and energy and money that is not actually getting to the point, right? So to me, I was like, has anyone actually done a handwritten postcard that's gone to their people that are consistently ordering at least 100 or around there, and had it any sort of numbers on the response? Because I'm super curious about this path.
Yeah, I've never done handwritten, but
Yeah,
I did
it won't
just
be me
order.
handwriting them,
I
but it
know.
would be pretend, right? But I'm just curious.
I
Okay.
did just order off of the marketplace. They have all the sample packs for everything. And so because we're focusing heavily on retention this year and just getting people on LRP. So our thought is, and they've got these really cool doTERRA note cards on there as well. Every month we're going to send, we're going to put people on a thing where 10 of them will get the PD Assist sachets, 10 will get the Meta Power sachet. There's the soft gels are in there. So every month we're just going to put a budget into sending some to these people and just saying, hey, have you tried this? So I'll let you know after a couple months how that goes.
Okay, I had no idea those were in there. So thank you for saying something, because I didn't even check. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be on here or whatever, and you're all hanging out, what's working? Anybody got any
Yeah.
insights on things that you found that are, moving the needle on some particular aspect of your business or overall, besides being in person and live training?
I've got a couple of comments. This is Brian. Lassen is working with Lindsay. Why am I drawing a blank suddenly? Thank you, Lindsay Norman's program with her team, and we just left leadership. That's been very, very impactful. They rolled that out, done a great job with that, and the engagement level is super high. So that they're doing a phenomenal job on that. It's taking, there's a chunk of time invested in getting that ramped up and getting it going, but it's definitely paying off. It's definitely proven to be worth it. So that's, if it hasn't taken a close look at that, it's probably worth looking at. The other thing I wanted to run by this group is the idea of, so the roundtables, the founders, the founder tables obviously were really impactful, a lot of great feedback on that. And I'm wondering for this group, I wonder if doing a monthly, Natalie, you'd mentioned, and Andy mentioned over the next 3 months in particular, I wonder if doing a monthly, even a Zoom, or I guess it'd have to be Zoom, but doing a monthly, something similar to that. I'd love to connect with, a group of people that want to do that on a monthly basis, masterminding and on similar to what just happened.
Yeah, those circles were amazing, right? Love that. And for what Brian is sharing about Lindsay Norman, it's not rocket science. It's just some of hey, she's got duplication and it's on this sharesuccess.com leadership page. It's she has the weekly class, and this is the way her team taps into that class so that they don't have to recreate the wheel, and they can focus their energy on sharing, right? And they take turns teaching that weekly class online. And then they're doing their local classes on an onboarding. They have a monthly onboarding that they can show up on, and they've got a recording of that. So if anybody onboards between that live event, they can just watch the recording to launch, right? And they've got an opportunity meeting. I think they only do that monthly because they're letting people watch the recording on that if they didn't grab that. And then they have their weekly team meeting. So just like getting those key things happening that that are like, oh, these are the pieces that a CEO needs to have in place so that we can move forward, right? So that your team knows what to count on and they can plug in and they know what to do. I love what you were talking about, Mandy, about like just doing some of that cross-selling. I think we have so much potential there if we'll expose people to the other products that we have. So
Well, I'll share something that's working on our team right now really well. I've been challenging everybody to get on the phone and talk to people. And so I provided a script for them. And because we've kind of been doing these calls so much, every week we come together and we're like, okay, what's working? What are some of your good questions that you have? And for anybody who, I mean, probably most of you have been through sales training, but every sales script is kind of similar. It's like you start out, you introduce yourselves, you kind of build that rapport, build that connection, share an experience, ask them what's working, things like that, you know, offer some guidance. And so we took that, you know, what you would use to sell just online or over the phone and created that for our teams. And it's working really well. But we found at the beginning, when you introduce yourselves, we always say, we don't say we're wellness advocates with doTERRA. We say that we have been assigned to help educate them with doTERRA. And so it doesn't become this, what's a wellness advocate type of a thing. It's like, we're with doTERRA and we're part of your education support. And then we ask this question. We always go through and see like what they ordered last. And we'll say, so I'm just curious, why did you order X, Y, or Z? What prompted you to order that? And that's a really fun question because they start to tell you their story and why they've been placing that kind of an order. And so that's been super helpful. And then of course, like I just tell them, like, if there's time, go through and, you know, ask the other questions, you know, that we have on here. And if there's not time, then just ask, you know, are you interested in, it's like, you know, by the way, I offer a personalized wellness consultation for doTERRA users just like you to get the most out of your oils. And during this consultation, we'll discuss some of your wellness goals and any specific concerns you have. And I can tailor these recommendations to your individual needs. Is this something you'd be interested in scheduling with me? So that's how we end the call. So a lot of times they go straight into the next contact. And so these are people that are already on our team. They've been purchasing, but maybe we've lost we're really trying to focus on retention, and we're finding some good results with this.
Man, that is a money script. I hope you just heard that right there. That's amazing. Super smart to leverage what we've already been given, right? How are we going to get more of something that we're not taking care of, right? So that's the way the universe works. When we take care of what we've been given, then it gets added to, right? So what a great way to take care of that. Any other thoughts there?
Can we share something that we're working on that we're kind of excited about? Or Rox, looked like you were starting to say something. No?
I was
Okay.
just going over her list in my head of like the call, like, okay, I've been assigned. Sorry.
I've got this recorded and we'll put it on the
Thank you.
Facebook page if you want to come back and
Or
rewatch.
maybe Mandy would be willing to share her.
I don't know.
Touch. I mean, you know,
I know.
he wants us to get to the next billions. I guarantee that.
Yes, that's true.
It's
That's
coming.
true.
I'm trying to I'm trying to make it so that it can be copied. I'm putting the link so you can just copy it. So give me just a sec.
Thank you, Mandy. Andy, share what you've been up to.
Yeah, so a lot of leaders, remember, how many of you were around back in the day when we did success challenges? Anybody remember those? So we had massive growth with the success challenge, but it was really just based on business. So that was a space for business trainers to come in, get their training on the business, and then do their daily habits and check it off and get points. And then we had prizes and recognition. So then we realized, wait a minute, why aren't we doing this for product training? Why aren't we doing product challenges, like health wellness challenges? Because there are other companies like Herbalife that are just crushing it with their challenges. So we took a look at what they're doing, and we tried to take the best of that and merge it with our team, our culture.
Matt and Shantae Hall brought the best stuff from the masterminds that they were going to, and Daniela and Keko Guitar. So we've been listening and taking in the best of the best so we could create something that works for new people that are interested.
Yep. So this could be for prospects, for customers. It could be all the above. So this is what we've put together so far. So it's uplevel21.com. And
It's a 21-day challenge.
Yep. So anybody can enter, and we have cash prizes for the top winners. There's a whole point system. But basically, we're trying to get people in the habit of taking their MetaPower, their lifelong vitality, doing exercise, and just moving their life forward in meaningful ways. So we came up with a set of daily activities that that everyone should be doing, and then they just track those activities. And there's a little video, like less than 60 seconds long every day, that they watch, and then they can get bonus points if they go above and beyond. So like if they do their workout and then they post a sweaty selfie that day, they get an extra point, and they hashtag it uplevel21. And if they do a cold plunge and they take a selfie and then post it, then they get extra points. So it's just supposed to be a really fun way to get people, using the product, living it, loving it, and sharing it. And so that launches tomorrow, goes live. I mean, the website's live now. But
this month is a beta version.
Yep, this is the.
So it is
the time.
not to bring your brand new people into, but if you want to join, or you have leaders or faithful customers that are like, oh, I want to join and up level my habits, we would invite, since it's beta, like don't go crazy, don't blast this to thousands of people, but handpick or share it with your key people. If you want to go through it this time with beta, try it on. And everyone, it doesn't cost anything. It won't cost anything for the end user, right? But the way we'll work it going forward is, like, if you're a leader and you want to share codes of it, you pay $40 to use the challenge that month. And that contributes to the prize money and running the challenge. And then we footed creating it all. So that's an option that you have there. And we're super excited about where that's going.
And there's an app too. So the app should be live here in a day or two.
So Andy, can you share that link in the chat? And I'm seeing that Mandy just shared her doc in the chat. Thank you so much. We know how much time and energy goes into creating things like that. So sharing it is super meaningful and a huge gift. Thank you. That means we all get to be committed to the, come on, we're going to the next billion. Let's do this.
Yep.
Right? Anything else before we wrap? Any questions?
So Kat, you're welcome to hop in. We would suggest not having your prospects join the challenge.
But you for sure.
But if you want to go through it for the month of March, then our plan is to have the coach feature set up by April, so that if you want to be a coach, you can invite people to come and go through and have the challenger experience, and have the coach experience.
But that's exactly what we want, is like
Yep.
any of you as leaders or your leaders hop in, be a part of the beta, see how it rolls, give good input, you know, to us. And yeah, it's amazing what happens when we get challenged, right? It goes back to that pressure.
That's right.
It's important that it's useful. Yep.
Yep.
We all get it. So this challenge, the people that are using them in other companies are using it, you know, as a, hey, maybe the live events aren't working like they used to, but these online challenges are bringing people, new prospects, new people into play. So we would love for you to join, and just give us grace because it is a beta.
Yep.
Deal? Awesome.
Andy, will there be a replay of this call available? Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll post it in the Diamond group.
Diamond
that's awesome.
WhatsApp and Diamond Facebook.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. If
Perfect.
you're not in the Diamond WhatsApp chat, there's a business chat. You can see both of them. They're both orange, right? So the business chat has the Share Success logo right there and some business numbers. The oil drop is about product, and those chats are rocking and good resources. So make sure you're a part of those. We'll drop those links in before we close this call.
Yeah, if you're on my team and on this call, not in that, let me know and I'll add you.
Okay. This first one is the product link to join that group. And the second one is the business. Guys rock. Do you realize how blessed we are and what an amazing time this is in all of our experience in life altogether, but in doTERRA history? We just made history this last week, and it's such an incredible gift to be a part of. We're super excited to go there with you and so grateful for who you are. Together, we will go super far.
Love you all.
Love you.